Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to my Wellness Wednesday talk, Spiritualism and the Mediumship Path. Hi, guys. My name is Uma. I am a professional psychic medium and mentor. I am also the CEO of the Lotus and the Light Metaphysical Center located in Northern Virginia. And I am the Amazon best-selling author of Chronicles of a Spirit Walker. I have had over 4 decades of mediumship experience, and I am very excited to share the knowledge I have received over the past 40 years, both personal and professional, in the field of mediumship, as also it relates and ties to spiritualism. So I am what they call a natural medium. That is someone who is born with the abilities. And there's a difference between a natural medium and a developed medium. I used to work with a professional medium who was a developed medium, and he came into his abilities in his later years. So he was able to have a normal childhood and a normal life before this stuff. Unfortunately for me, my gifts, my abilities did not turn off or recede during my formative years. So it was a blessing and a curse. It's the best thing that I can tell you. It was a blessing and a curse. But here we are, and I'm ready to share these information with you. I'm also a fourth generation healer. My mother is a premonition dreamer. My grandmother was a natural medicine woman, and my great grandfather was a natural healer. He did massage and the essential oils and things like that, natural remedies back then. So it's safe to say that I have had a history and plethora of experience in healing, psychic, mediumship work. Formally, I've also trained for 4 years at the Arthur Findlay College in Stansted, United Kingdom. I've also trained professionally with some amazing mentors that I'm going to shout out now because I love giving credit to my mentors. So, and there's no particular order. It's just, as I remember my mentors, Mavis Patilla, Janet Nohavik, John Holland, Colin Bates, Eileen Davies, Matthew Smith, and so many more. I'm very grateful to them for their tutelage and for everything that they taught me, because I am here today with you guys sharing all this information with you. I've also been practicing as a professional medium for the past 10 years, and I've also been training up and coming psychics and mediums for the past 10 years. So this kind of work is something very close to my heart, and I feel like the more knowledge we share, whether we share it for free or we share it in mentorship programs or whatnot, I feel it's so important, because as the world changes, we're going to have a lot of people looking for more natural remedies, natural connection with our spirit friends, and I feel this information can be helpful. Thank you to those of you that are watching this live, and please, if you can, like my video to show support. I really, truly appreciate it. So, lesson number 1 we're going to talk about today is understanding spiritualism. And hi, Michael. Thank you for tuning in. I will take questions in a second. I just wanted to get some of this work that I have down presented. So, we're going to talk a little bit about spiritualism. Spiritualism is not just a religion, it's also a science and philosophy. And it's based upon the demonstrated fact of communication by means of mediumship with those who live in the spirit world. So it's like a three-pronged effect. It's not a religion, it's a religion, a science, and a philosophy. Spiritualism is a science because it investigates, analyzes, and classifies facts and manifestations demonstrated from the spirit side of life. We have checks and balances when you are a professional evidential medium. We don't just go right into giving someone a message, right? We want to show proof of life, the continuity of life beyond death. So we will give you facts that you can validate. So as a professional evidential medium, I won't come to you and say, I have a message for you from your grandmother. I would give you facts like her name or her date of birth or where she lived or a memory that you two shared. Something that would let you know that I am communicating with your grandmother. Okay? And that's why we say it's a science, because we're looking at the facts of the communication. Spiritualism is a philosophy because it studies the laws of nature, both on the seen and unseen sides of life, and bases its conclusions on observed facts. It accepts statements of observed facts of past ages and conclusions drawn therefrom when sustained by reason and by result of observed facts of the present day. I know in our field of psychic mediumship work, there are a lot of charlatans out there. And there's a lot of untrained people out there as well that are just kind of saying whatever feels natural to them and comes to mind. And that's understandable because there's a lot of people that have untrained natural ability. Like I said, there's natural mediums. But if you are going to give messages, I am going to say to do your due diligence and get the training you need so that you can properly deliver messages from the other side. Spiritualism is a religion because it strives to understand and comply with the physical, mental, and spiritual laws of nature, which are the laws of God. So there is that respect for a higher source in spiritualism. And for these reasons, this is why I call myself a spiritualist, even though I do not belong to a formalized church. I do abide by the principles of spiritualism, which I'm going to get into in a second. Now, I said I'm a spiritualist. What is a spiritualist? It's someone who believes, as part of their religion, in the communication between this world and the spirit world by means of mediumship, and who endeavors to mold their character and conduct in accordance with the highest teachings derived from such communion. Spiritualism changed my life. I was, like most people, a typical muggle. That's what I call people, right? Who live without ethics and integrity and are just kind of living the day to day. You know, you hustle, you do what you can, you partake in things that may be a little immorally wrong, but it may get you ahead a little bit. You know, I was just being a regular human being, you know, looking out for myself and doing what I needed to do to get by. And then when I found spiritualism, it developed me. Even though I went into spiritualism to communicate with spirit guides and loved ones on the other side, because I noticed it was a natural ability in me, I never expected it to change me as a person, but it did. And I noticed that it made a lot of things seem insignificant, like becoming popular or famous or wanting to become really rich. All of those things faded away from me. And I started to really want to be a better person, take care of people, honor nature, enjoy my solitude. I did a complete 180 and had to change my life as a result because a lot of people didn't really want to hang out with me anymore when I became a bit boring in my eyes, right? So, there are 9 principles that we operate by in spiritualism that I'm going to share with you now because you never know. There might be some people who are listening and you guys might be interested and fascinated by all of this. And to you, I say kudos. Let's get into it. Now, the first thing about the principles is that I have to say spiritualism has no creed nor dogma, but does have a set of principles or laws received from the spirit world by means of mediumship. 9 in number, which gives us a tangible basis or foundation upon which to base our belief. In October 1899, the first 6 principles were received. In October 1909, 2 more were added. And in June 1946, the 9th one was received. I'm going to drop in the comments, for those of you that are watching live, where I'm getting all of this factual information from. There is a small book. It is called How to Unfold Your Mediumship, okay, by Reverend Simon Caudulo. I like to give credit where credit is due. It's a small publication from Lilydale, New York, that I also teach classes at. So I wanted to just shout that out. So the first principle of spiritualism is we believe in infinite intelligence. This principle deals with God. We do not believe in a personal God, but in a principle of universal love and wisdom. Infinite intelligence, or God, is the creator of all life, both animate and inanimate. Man being God's highest type of creation, having reason and will. I don't believe that God has a particular form. And so I believe more that this Godhead, this God form is energy. And I know that may rub some people the wrong way, and I respect that. We all have our different beliefs. But in all the years of my training and understanding of things, in all that I've seen, in all that I've experienced, there's 2 things I walk away with. 1, there is a higher power, something that we all came from. And 2, it is so magnanimous that we, with our small brains, cannot comprehend it. So I feel like this first principle is exactly what I believe in. I believe there's an infinite intelligence out there. I don't know what it looks like, sounds like, or feels like. No, that's not true. I know what it feels like. But I don't know what it looks like or sounds like. But I know it's there. Infinite love knows no wrong. The second principle says, we believe that the phenomena of nature, both physical and spiritual, are expressions of infinite intelligence. So this principle deals with the idea of creation. We believe that God is the creator of all life, both spiritual and material. Science has given us proof that all life was created through a process of evolution, starting from the very lowest forms of life and evolving upwards. There is a book written by Andrew Jackson Davis, a very famous medium. He wrote a book called Nature's Divine Revelations. And according to Andrew Jackson Davis, having evolved out of chaos and confusion, many worlds and planets with their varied animals and plants, God laid down certain laws to govern that which he had created. Neither science nor history gives to us any instance where God ever interrupted the workings of nature's laws in response to human appeal for any reason. Therefore, we as spiritualists do not accept any statements of past ages that don't coincide with our present-day understanding of these laws. This principle, this second principle, really highlights the understanding that we are the creators of our own destiny. A lot of times I get people ask me, why would God allow children to go hungry, people to suffer, women to be raped? And I say, you have to understand, the infinite intelligence made a world and put laws in place. Not man-made laws, God laws, right? Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal. And when these laws are broken, then repercussions have to happen, right? And he cannot step in. Well, I say he. Let's clear this up right now, because me and the pronouns. I apologize, but I say he because of traditional formation in my youth taught me that God was masculine. But we know that God is not masculine or feminine. It's an infinite intelligence. So if I slip up sometimes, I apologize. So God created the laws to govern what he created. God will not step in when these natural laws are broken, and then a series of mishappenings happen as a result of those laws being broken, right? So that's my answer to people that ask questions like, why would God allow these things to happen? God neither allows nor disallows. God created, and then it's up to us to follow the natural laws. And that is me as a owner of a metaphysical wellness center. That is what I teach on, is trying to get people to understand the natural laws so that they can get their life in balance, and then things can flow the way they want it to go. So the second principle reminds us that we are the creators of our own destiny. The third principle says we affirm that a correct understanding of such expression and living in accordance therewith constitute true religion. So this principle deals with religion. And true religion can be found in this principle. To the student of philosophy who's interested in tracing the word religion back to the Latin word religio, it means to bind anew. There have been and are many religions, and however much they differ in other respects, in this they agree, that man has a natural faith in a higher power with whom he can commune, to whom he is related, and this life on earth is not enough to satisfy his soul. Spiritualism is the only religion mankind needs, as it gives a scientific explanation of the reason for man's existence here on earth. It's not based in folklore or fears, right? It's proof positive of his continued existence after death. It is the coming religion of the world. Without a belief in God, all religious aspirations must necessarily flounder. A true religion is highly desirable, not dictated by a false religious education or fashionable religious custom, but by the higher interests of the spiritual nature. Religion means growth, and as we grow intellectually, our ideas broaden and grow. We encourage questioning in spiritualism because there's some religions where you're not allowed to question. You have to accept everything as it is. And that's not true in spiritualism. You are encouraged to inquire, to ask questions, to ponder, because you have to find the truth for yourself. The Constitution of the U.S. gives to every man religious freedom, which means progression. In past ages, new truths were repressed and man had not the right to think for themselves, right? So with this principle, it's a reminder that true religion, if you are in a true religious group, right, they would encourage right living. And right living means, again, following God's laws, nature's laws. Now, the fourth principle says, we affirm that the existence and personal identity of the individual continue after the change called death. And this principle deals with the personal identity of the individual. It's not necessary to accept spiritualism to really understand this principle, but through our God-given gift of mediumship, we know that we do not lose our identity when we make our transition, right? When I'm doing a mediumship reading and I'm bringing through Aunt Flo, sometimes I might act like Aunt Flo. I might talk like Aunt Flo. I might have her mannerisms. And the person I'm reading for would say, oh my gosh, that's exactly how Aunt Flo used to be. How would I know that? Because her essence still lives on. The personality of an individual is many times expressed when the loved ones return through the mediums. So with the fourth principle, we prove that people do exist beyond death. And I love this fourth principle for that, because can I tell you, in all my years of living, people are deathly afraid of death. It's almost like they feel like that's the end of it. That's all. I will cease to exist. I will be nothing. But that's so far from the truth. You take everything with you, all your memories, your experiences, all your feelings, right? You take with you. And that's why, as a medium, my main intent in life is to live this life fully and to create as much harmonious and happy memories as I can, so I can take that with me. Okay. The fifth principle says, we affirm that communication with the so-called dead is a fact scientifically proven by the phenomena of spiritualism. So this talks about communication, right? Through communication with our loved ones who have passed on into the world of spirit, we learn that there is no death, life is progression, and it's eternal. And I love this principle as with the principle number 4, because again, it's addressing the natural fear in everyone. No one wants to die. Everyone's afraid of death at some point. And I love these 2 principles because it lets people know it's just a natural part of life, and there's so much more to come. So the 5th principle reminds you gently, kindly, and softly that life is eternal and life is progression. The 6th principle says, we believe that the highest morality is contained in the golden rule, whatsoever ye would that others should do unto you, you do also unto them. It deals with the golden rule. And I have to say this, I have studied a lot of religions in my lifetime. I was actually born in the Hindu faith. My father was of Hindu descent, even though my father is an atheist. He doesn't believe in religion, but his family is of Hindu descent. My mother is of Muslim descent. And when I grew up, they put me in the church where I forgot the name. Oh my gosh, it's not apostolic. In America, they say apostolic, Anglican. There we go. In the Caribbean, we call it Anglican. I was Anglican, so I was baptized, confirmed, all of that. It's the Church of England that broke from the Catholic Church way back in the day. So I learned all those religions, and then along the way, I learned about Buddhism and yoga, right, and Taoism. And all the religions have the same principle: do unto others as you would do unto yourself. So the 6th principle is a reminder of the golden rule, which I love because I live that in my life, right? Be good, do good, wish for others what you wish for yourself. The seventh principle, we affirm the moral responsibility of the individual, that he makes his own happiness or unhappiness as he obeys or disobeys nature's physical and spiritual laws. This is the atonement principle, right? You got to know yourself. And like I said in the first one, God does not step in to deal with mortal problems. You're going to get what's coming to you based off of your actions. And I think people think like karma occurs over lifetimes. Karma occurs right in the same lifetime. If you eat a lot of junk food and don't work out and don't eat healthy, right, you are going to develop health issues. It's not rocket science. If you continuously screw people over, live for yourself, then there will come a time when you will need the help of others and no one will be around. So the seventh principle is just that reminder that your happiness, your unhappiness lies in complete, direct, I can't find the word. It's whether or not you obey or disobey natural laws. That's it. The eighth principle, we affirm that the doorway to reformation is never closed against any human soul here or thereafter. This is repentance. Sometimes I think some religions, make you feel guilty, like, oh, if you live a bad life, then you're going to go to hell and, you're going to pay for those sins, but not in spiritualism, right? You can repent on the last day of the last hour, the last minute of your life here, and you can still move on to healthier, happier times. To many spiritualists, this is the most beautiful of our principles, because through communication with those who have passed on into the world of spirit, we know that we need to not fear eternal damnation, no matter how many mistakes you make. So this principle alone, principle 8, gives a lot of people relief. Because I think a lot of us judge ourselves unfairly, right? We think we can be better, we can do better. A lot of us have that imposter syndrome. We don't feel we're that great of a person until people tell us we are. And this principle just is a reminder that, no, you're a soul, and souls are always good. Heaven and hell are not places. They're consciousness, right? You're in hell now. If you live for yourself, you're greedy, you're manipulative, right? You live in hell now. You live in heaven now if you share whatever you have, no matter how small or big. You love everyone. You try to reach people, right? We have learned as mediums through communication that no soul is ever lost. Every soul has a chance. Every soul has the ability to do better and to evolve. There are no heights a person may not attain if they so desire. And finally, principle 9. We affirm that the precepts of prophecy contained in the Bible are scientifically proven through mediumship. So this principle deals with prophecy and asks you to recognize the divine spark in each person and respect them accordingly. It's funny to me when a lot of people come and say, well, what you're doing is wrong and you need to repent and what you're doing is against the Bible. And I say, do you know how many stories in the Bible contain mediumship? The bread and fish that came to feed 5,000 people, that's apports, right? Mary hearing from Archangel Gabriel that she was pregnant with child through divine intervention. That's mediumship. That's spirit communication. right? Prophets going into trance, receiving messages from angels, trance channeling, right? So there's so many examples in the Bible of mediumship. All right, those are the 9 principles. So now I wanted to turn a little bit to give you the history of spiritualism, and to let you know how this all came about. If I can find it. I hope you guys are liking this little video that I'm making for you. Please, if you're watching it live, feel free to drop some comments. And if you're not watching live, you can also still drop comments on this YouTube or Facebook video that you're watching it from. I need my glasses for this. Okay. This is a short resume of the history of spiritualism. And again, this was written by Reverend Simon Caudulo, a teacher of science, philosophy, and religion in Lilydale, New York. He wrote a book, How to Unfold Your Mediumship, First Year Lessons. Jesus thought the same beautiful and practical thoughts that are expressed in our classrooms today. And had his thoughts not been distorted and misunderstood by many who have tried to teach them down through the ages, we as people would understand the laws of life much better than we do now. One of our earliest writers was Emanuel Swedenborg. He was a great medium born in Stockholm, Sweden, and he was born January 29, 1688, Aquarius, and passed into spirit life in 1772. He wrote many volumes which are more or less tinged with the views of his earlier Orthodox training. But he brought a lot of light and understanding to the religious world through his endeavors to prove the truth of spirit communication. In England and America, nearly 10 years after the death of Swedenborg, the church known as the Swedenborgian churches were founded by a group of his followers. Thomas Paine held many theories in harmony with spiritualism, and said, I believe in one God and hope for immortality of the soul after death. Andrew Jackson Davis is called a pioneer of modern spiritualism. He wrote Nature's Divine Revelations 2 years before the recorded birth of modern spiritualism. He is best known writer on spiritualism, and his theories form the basis of this philosophy. He was born in Blooming Grove, New York, August 11th, Leo, 1826. He had only a few weeks actual schooling and was only 20 years old when he wrote his first book, Nature's Divine Revelations. The publishers of this book say it had gone through 40 editions and today is very difficult to obtain. He wrote 33 other books on spiritualism during his life's work. Mr. Davis founded our Lyceum. In a vision of the spirit world, or as he called it, the Summerland, he saw children playing or being taught how to become better men and women, and this instilled in him the desire to start a similar school on the earth plane. Just side note, in one time I went to sleep and I went to Summerland. I didn't even know what it was, but I had the same visions that Andrew Jackson Davis saw, and I only found out years later about this place when I heard about his visitations to Summerland. So I thought that was interesting. In Dodworth Hall, Broadway, New York City, January 25th, 1863, the first Lyceum was held. This branch of the spiritualist work has always been most constructive, and to the great seer belongs the credit of this foundation. The authentic birthday of modern spiritualism is actually March 31st, 1848. And is dated from the time the Fox sisters first heard the spirit taps in the home of their parents at Hydesville, New York. Margaret and Catherine Fox were the young mediums through which this phenomena was produced. The raps gave every evidence of an intelligence back of them and answered questions correctly by means of a series of raps corresponding to the letters of the alphabet. This manifestation was supposed to have been instigated by the spirit of an old tin peddler who was supposedly murdered and buried in the cellar of that same house. Upon digging in the cellar, the bones, hair, and teeth of a human being were found, and this seemed quite logically to substantiate the belief of foul play. The sisters traveled both here and abroad and gave many evidences of psychic phenomena. Their old home, where the raps were first produced, has been removed from Hydesville to Lilydale, New York, where it has been preserved for posterity. The next manifestation of any note was at the home of a Presbyterian minister, Dr. Phelps of Stratford, Connecticut, and again through the mediumship of children. One of the earlier books of note was written by Judge Edmonds and Dr. J.T. Dexter of New York and was entitled Spiritual Law. It was published in 1855 and purported to be communication from Swedenborg and Bacon. Other well-known writers in the 19th century were Moses Hull, Stainton Moses, Hudson and Tuttle, Charles Hammond, Professor Hare of the University of Pennsylvania, and many others. I know some of you listening right now are like, why is Uma going into all these boring names? Well, when I make these general videos for YouTube, I want to give people as much information. Some of you just like to listen to these little videos I make, and some of you like to do more research. So these are the names that you would want to research concerning the history of mediumship. Dr. J.M. Pebbles, who was a missionary at large for the United States of America, a noted writer and promulgator of spiritualism, is also given much credit for his efforts to spread the truth of spirit communication. He passed out having lived just a few months less than 100 years of life. There was also Alfred Russel Wallace, who brought out a theory of evolution. At the same time, Darwin gave his convictions to the world upon the same subject. His book entitled Miracles in Modern Spiritualism was written in 1894 and makes interesting and instructive reading at this present day. Sir William Crookes, a great English scientist, investigator, and writer, also had an important part to play in the history of spiritualism, and his experiments with the marvelous materialization medium Katie King have gone down in the records of spiritualistic history. Other noted mediums of the 19th century were Nellie Colburn, Maynard, who gave seances in the White House for President Lincoln, Dr. D.D. Holmes, the famous levitation medium, William Ellington, and Cora L.V. Richmond. The first Society of Psychic Research was founded in England in 1882 by Stainton Moses, who developed the phase of automatic writing to a remarkable degree, and Sir William Barrett. Its first members were Professor Henry Sedgwick, F.W.H. Myers, Dr. Richard Hodgson, Edmund Gurney, and several others. Mrs. Piper, a noted physical medium, came in for much investigation by the psychic research both in America and England, devoting nearly 20 years of her life trying to prove to Sir Oliver Lodge and other scientists the truth of spirit return. There was also Robert Vale Owen, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Lord Northcliffe, and William T. Stead, who was on the Titanic when it sank in 1912. There are many more wonderful people who have blazed the trail for us. And these are the people that created the history for spiritualism. All right. There are different types of mediumship. There is the active mediumship, where a medium is actually actively communicating with the spirit guides or the people on the other side. You would see a medium doing this in, say, a private sitting if you booked a medium to do a reading for you and they connect with your loved ones. You would see a medium doing this on the platform, like John Holland, Teresa, what was her name? Teresa, the Long Island medium, right? My mentors, Janet Nohavik, Mavis Patilla, they also did platform mediumship, where they would speak to a room full of people and bring through certain people's loved ones for demonstration. Spiritual healers also use the aid of spirit helpers on the other side who have healing abilities and work with them to bring healing to a person. These are all forms of active mediumship. Passive mediumship is when the spirit is not actively doing anything but staying in a passive place. So when we do mediumship development circles, I host a mediumship development circle at my studio once a month where it's usually people new to mediumship come because they want to experience mediumship for themselves. So we sit in a circle. There's no teaching, there's no lecture, there's no talk. It's just we sit in a circle, we play some music, and we allow the spirit world to communicate with us or to impress upon us. And then there's channeling. A great channeler is actually hailing from my state in Virginia Beach, right? There is the Edgar Cayce Institute down in Virginia Beach. And Edgar Cayce was known as the sleeping prophet because he would go into trance and bring through messages for his clients. And we're talking about a person who didn't even go to college. I don't think he even finished high school. And yet he was giving medical diagnoses and treatment plans and whatnot to clients who were affirming that all of this was true. So that would be an example of a trance channeler. And there's different types of trance channeling as well. There's the people who look the same, like Esther Hicks. She channels the teachings of Abraham. And then there's people like Edgar Cayce who go right into a trance, okay? So different types of mediumship, different types of mediums. If you are someone that's interested in doing mediumship work, I do have a couple of recommendations before you actually step on the path. The biggest thing you want to know is you attract what you are. I don't believe in demons or ghouls or ghosts or goblins or anything like that that is hazardous to our health. But I do believe that when people cross over to the other side, there are different levels to the other side, and you go where your mindset is. So if you are a person with addictions, drinking, drugs, pornography, whatnot, and you go over to the other side, you're going to be on that lower level, right? As you have to work with your spirit team to overcome the things that were troubling you. It doesn't go away, by the way, guys. I think a lot of people think these things just go away. No, you have to work through it. You were supposed to work through it on the earth plane, but then if you don't work through it on the earth plane, you will have to go to the other side and work through it. And that lower level is very, very close to the earth. So that's why people feel like, oh, there's a ghost, haunting my house, or there's a spirit stuck on this realm. No, they're not stuck. They're just on a different platform, but you can feel them, sense them, especially if you have psychic mediumship abilities. You can sense them there, right? But you can sense them because you remember, we obey natural laws. So you attract to you what you are. If you have a lower energy, then you will attract to you lower energy entities, possibly them wanting your help. If you're on a higher vibration, then you can communicate with loved ones on the other side, spirit guides, even angels, ascended masters, depending on how high your energy is. So the first thing I would say to anybody interested in doing this kind of work is learn the natural laws, create a positive mindset, and learn about the other side. If you come into this work with fear, you're going to attract things that will make you fearful. If you come into this work feeling like it's a burden to do, or that you have to do it because, God or the angels told you have to do it, then this will be a very unsettling experience for you. You have to release your fears. You have to become fearless in understanding that nothing can hurt you. This is all, by the way, mediumship occurs on the mental plane, right? Now, there are some physical mediums. There's a lot more charlatans out there than actual real physical mediums. I've had a couple of physical mediumship experiences in my lifetime that were profoundly deep and amazing, and I love it, and I want to have more, but I wouldn't lie on it, and I wouldn't force it. I know when it's time for me to have it, it will happen, and I'm content with that. But there are people who force it or manipulate or lie, and then, they're going to get their own karma for that. That's for sure. So I would say, before you even begin working with mediumship, learn as much as you can. Watch free videos like this. A lot of the mediumship teachers like myself, we put out free videos so that you can start to understand the science, the philosophy, the religion of this that we do. And it will hopefully help to ease your fears. The other thing you need to know before you actually step onto the mediumship path is that you need to have focused concentration. Your mind has to be strong. Because remember, mediumship is mental. It occurs on the mental plane. I have turned away students from my mentorship programs if they were mentally incapacitated or emotionally unstable. Why? Because when you're doing this work, we're in training sometimes up to 6 to 8 hours a day. It's like running a marathon for 6 to 8 hours. You have to mentally be ready to do it. You have to be mentally ready to give readings. You have to be mentally ready to communicate with spirit. And I'm sorry, but if you are I'm just not picking on anybody, but I'm just giving an example. If you are a busy working woman and a housewife and a mother, and you have a lot going on, and you also want to have a social life, and you also want to do this and do that, you are not going to be the best medium that you can be because you have a lot going on in your life. When you come to this work, you have to be solidly focused on doing this work. Sitting in the power helps increase your focus concentration. I teach my new mediums how to sit in the power. Sitting in the power means blending your spirit energy with the spirit essence energy of spirit guides, spirit friends. You have to know how to meditate and do meditate because you have to, again, strengthen your mind. And you have to be willing to commit to doing the work. Get involved with a mediumship development circle. Show up religiously for those circles. Don't miss one. Get with a mentor. Learn from the mentor, right? Have someone guide you. Now, a lot of people will say, well, I don't need a mentor to teach me what is natural within me. Okay, you can think of it that way. Or you can also think about it as, if I work with a mentor, they're going to take me places I can't go because I don't know where I can go with this. But a mentor does, because a mentor has done it and they are still doing it. So those are my explanations on how you can step onto this path for those of you that are interested. I want to thank you all for coming today and listening to my little talk on spiritualism and the path of mediumship. I hope this was helpful for you. My goal is this year to produce more videos like this on the different aspects of the work that I do at my center. And as always, if there is someone who is serious about starting this work or interested in doing more, there are several ways that you can connect with me. One, you can book a mediumship reading with me. I do 30-minute to 1 hour mediumship readings. If you do a 1 hour session, I also include soul alignment coaching. You can do private mediumship mentorship with me. What we do in that is we would book an hour session. I don't come with my class outline and itinerary of events to do. We sit in the power for a little bit, and then you tell me what you're wanting to work on or what you're looking to do, and then we just do different exercises, and I give some lecture on topics that are interesting to you. So it's kind of like we do what feels good to you. But if you actually want the formalized program, I do have formalized programs, right? I have an 8-week intuitive development program, a 4-week psychic development program, and a 4-week mediumship development program. And these are all starting this year. So right now, at the time of this recording, it's January 2025. And starting January 25th, I have the Sacred Lotus Intuitive Development Program. That's an 8-week program. For those of you that live in Northern Virginia, you can start the program on Saturdays, starting January 25th, running till March 15th. And if you're not in Virginia, you can opt for the online version that's starting on Sunday, January 26th, running till March 16th. And I would definitely recommend that you look into that. For those of you that are interested, the link is bit.ly/Sacred Lotus 2025. I'm going to drop it in the comments so that it can be on there for anybody who's interested in starting this program. But that's it. That is my presentation for today. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Please don't forget to drop a like. And if you would love to drop a comment, I would love for that too. I do check my comments daily on YouTube and on Facebook. So I'm happy to hear your feedback and see how possibly we can work together in the future. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'll see you soon.